Today on The Balanced Voice, we're exploring the growing world of online scams and why so many smart, capable people find themselves caught in emotional manipulation. Joining us is internationally recognized anti-scam investigator, author, and speaker, Johnathan Walton. His work helps people understand how con artists build trust, create urgency, and exploit connection. After being defrauded himself and leading the investigation that brought his scammer to justice, Johnathan now teaches the universal red flags every scammer shares. Together, we're discussing how to move from vulnerability to awareness and from reaction to preparation. This is The Balanced Voice.
Welcome to the Balanced Voice podcast. I am so intrigued by today's guest. One, the topic is so time sensitive for all of us, but also as a mom, I call myself a mom in between, Johnathan. I have an elderly mom. My father's passed away, but I have an elderly mom. And then I have 3 teens that I'm raising who have access to everything. And then, of course, we're sort of in the prime of our lives where there are all these people sort of coming to us for different things. And so, Johnathan Walton, you are so fascinating. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for that introduction. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here, and hopefully we can prevent people from getting scammed if they listen to this interview. That's my goal.
Absolutely. So what I love about this, because I have a long-standing love for TV, and I think TV producers are the magic and the engine behind everything. So you were, you're a TV producer, American Ninja Warriors, Shark Tank, which, by the way, I have a million questions about Shark Tank, which I'll ask you after. Like, are they really investing? What really happens? But you became the victim of a scam. How many years ago was this?
Gosh, I met the woman who is my con artist in May of 2013. So, and then I didn't realize she was a con artist, and I lost close to 100 grand in 2017. Uh, so yeah, 11 years ago, I realized she fleeced me. And this is a woman who came into my life as a friend. We became best friends. She was like a sister
Yeah.
to me, and I loved her. I loved her, and that love blinded me. And that's the way they get you. Con artists get you to care about them, or care about a situation they've created, because love is the most powerful force in the universe. And I say this in my book. I published a book recently, Anatomy of a Con Artist, that they're not smarter than you, because people ask me all the time, "You're such a smart guy. How did you get conned?" And I correct them. I'm like, con artists, they don't outsmart you. They outfeel you.
I love
They
that. I
use your
love when you
emotions
said
to
that.
scam you. Yeah,
It's
that's
so
the truth.
true. And it's
Yeah.
so true. And we look at that now when we talk to people about protecting yourself from scams. We tell people, look for emotion, look for urgency, look for, you're the only one that can help me, that type of language. But what was so interesting, let's go back to what happened to you, because it struck me that you called her a best friend. You said you loved her like a sister in some of your previous interviews. She was the Irish Harriet. I mean, how did she find you? How did you find her? How did the conversation go on for this long? Did you ever meet her
Yeah.
in person? Like, I have so many
Oh,
questions.
absolutely. Yeah. She was a new neighbor in my building. And this is the big thing that a lot of people don't understand about con artists. If you're listening right now, you probably know a con artist. You just
Wow.
don't know they're a con artist because they haven't scammed you yet. There are millions of working professional con artists in the world right now, right? Because I've since investigated after I got justice in my case, and even after police turned me away and I got my con artist convicted, and I became a beacon, and all these other victims started asking me for help, like inspired by my story. They wanted to get their con artist. So I started investigating con artist cases, and I say this in the book. Some people play golf on the weekends. I hunt con artists. So
Mm,
for the past 8 years, that's what I've been doing. So as I started looking into all these cases, I was shocked to discover they're everywhere. They're
yeah.
the new neighbor, the new friend, the new coworker, the new guy you're dating, the new girl you're dating, the new sweet old lady at the coffee shop. Con artists wear all kinds of disguises, and you don't know until it's too late that they're con artists. And they work, you know, most victims don't tell anyone. That's the thing. Most victims, your mother, your uncle, your cousin, your friend could be getting scammed right now or realize they were scammed, And 90% of the time, they're not going to tell anyone, not even you, not anyone, because
Yes.
they're ashamed. They're ashamed. They don't want anyone to know. They're just going to limp away and be quiet. Meanwhile, and I've seen this, the con artists will scam other people in that same social circle, and no one's talking about it. That is
Amazing.
certainly what mine was doing. Mine was a new neighbor. She entered my life with red flag number one. I write about in my book, Anatomy of a Con Artist, the 14 red flags to spot scammers, grifters, and thieves. Red flag number one, and this is true in 90% of the cases I've investigated. Most con artists will enter your life offering to help,
Mm.
because who doesn't love a helper? You're in a bind. They quickly assess what bind you're in, and they offer to help. The help is not real. The help is just words. But you're so desperate for something that
That
you'll
you
believe the help is real,
gravitate
and
to
you'll
it.
like them immediately. You'll like them immediately, and that's their plan. They want to get you to like them. They want to get you to love them, and they want to get you to have confidence in them. Con artist is short for confidence artist,
Mm.
because these people are skilled at gaining your confidence and then using it, weaponizing it against you. So I met my con artist. I live in an apartment building in downtown LA. We have this beautiful swimming pool, and we lost access to our pool because of a legal fight we're having with another building who also owns the pool. And all the residents, and this was around the summer of 2013, and it was a hot summer, triple digits in downtown LA. And the I took it upon myself to galvanize the residents. I put up flyers everywhere in our building and stuck them under 444 units in our building. Missed the pool, want to get it back? Let's band together and do something about it. That's what my flyer read. And I had no idea that I was giving a professional con artist all the insight she needed into me to craft the perfect con just for me.
Wow.
I told her, because ultimately she was probably, I'm guessing, licking her chops reading that posting I made, thinking, this guy is a do-gooder. I'm going to get him to do good for me,
Oh, that's
because
so
that's
interesting.
exactly what she did. Yeah,
Because I'm
and I didn't
sitting here
realize this till
thinking
years
like
later.
I'm sitting here thinking like, why would that make her target you? If anything, you're showing like you're a leader and you're on top of things. Like you'd probably, for me, this clearly, I wouldn't be a good con artist. Like you'd be a person I'd stay away from. But for her, she saw it as a vulnerability of you wanting to help. That is so
Yes.
interesting.
I mean, that's how they don't think like regular people. I've spent a lot of time with FBI criminal profiler Candace DeLong, and she taught me about the concept of a rescue merchant. And I
Mm.
write about this in my book, Anatomy of a Con Artist. Rescue merchants are con artists. They function the opposite way regular people function. When there is a strife, unrest, when there's a problem, when there's a catastrophe or disaster, regular people like us, we run the other way. We want to get away. We don't want to
Yeah.
be around the drama. We avoid the drama. We don't want any part of it. Like we want to seek higher ground or shelter or whatever. Con artists work differently. They run towards it because they know, human emotion being what it is, when there's a problem, if you can present a solution, even if it's not real, it doesn't have to be a real solution. You just have to say, A, you have a solution. B, here's what it is. And regular people are inclined to believe it out of
Yeah.
desperation because the emotions are blinding them. Con artists don't outsmart you, they outfeel you.
It's
And
so
once those
great.
feelings take over, you're toast. If you don't know you're in the crosshairs of a con artist, you will get con. And if you're listening now and you think, oh, that could never happen to me, I used to think that too.
I know.
I used to think that could never happen. I'm too smart for. Yeah, well, it happened to me. And if you're not suspicious, it'll happen to you.
So she befriended you, and it's interesting because what we're used to seeing is a lot of this taking place digitally, where you're talking to somebody in another country and you don't even know who they you think you know who they are, but you don't really know who they are.
Yeah.
Or falling for, that typical, here's your bank and, go ahead and click the link, or here's you ordered an Amazon package, or actually, right as I was waiting to speak to you, I got a text that said, we got your request for a $60,000 loan. If it's not correct, click here. And I mean, right as I was getting, so there,
Yeah.
that's what we've been groomed to sort of watch out for now as a community. What's
Exactly.
interesting though is that's why I asked you, did you meet her? I mean, this was a real person in your life who
Oh,
had the audacity to
absolutely.
sit in front of you. I mean, did it evolve? Like she was always the con artist? And what is the like, was she trying to get back to Ireland? Like, what was she asking you for?
Well, okay. So Um, a lot of people will say, well, she only got you for 100,000 over 4 years. That's
100,000 is a
not,
lot.
I know, over 4 years. It was in dribs
Well,
and drabs, right? Over 4 years it was 100,000 almost. And that's not a lot of money. That's 25 grand a year if you break it
no,
down. But
that's a
what I
lot.
have to remind people is while she was scamming me out of 100,000 over 4 years, she was scamming dozens and dozens of other people all over the world with different characters, different scenarios, different
Oh,
emergencies, different cons. If you go to my website, jonathanwalton.com, I have pictures of her in from that victims have sent me. I have a PhD in this woman, I swear to God.
yeah.
And you look at these pictures, and it's like 6 or 7 different women. Like she does she's a master of disguise. She recreates herself for every city. So long story short, she was born in Bangor, Maine. She's been conning since she was a kid. And they all do. They're all psychopaths. Most con artists are psychopaths. They don't. And the thing that differentiates a psychopath from a sociopath, according to FBI criminal profiler Candace DeLong, is sociopath and psychopaths, they have no feeling for other people. They have no qualms about wrong or right. They don't know. They don't care. But a sociopath acts more on emotion. They'll lose their temper and kill someone.
Mhm.
Their crimes are never really planned.
Yeah.
Whereas a psychopath, those are con artists. Those are politicians. They are calculating. Their lies have lies to back up the lies. Their stories have stories that are all so believable. They put a lot of thought into what they're doing, whether they're conning or killing. That's another cross section. Serial killers essentially are con artists who kill
Yeah.
because a serial killer has to get their victim to believe that they're not a threat, that they need help with putting a couch in their car, or come help me find my they create some kind of
Yeah.
con to
Let's
get the
start
victim
dating
at
it, whatever it
ease,
might be. Yeah.
and then they kill them. So they share that kind of commonality, but sociopaths don't put a lot of thought and often get caught. Psychopaths almost never get caught.
But Jonathan, when you explain it that way, I'm curious, is it about the money or is it about the process of victimizing somebody?
Yeah, the money is secondary. I've investigated hundreds of cases and I see this again and again. The money is secondary. The primary reason con artists con is they enjoy it.
Wow, that's
They
cool.
get a godlike sense of joy from creating worlds that do not exist and watching as we all fall for it. They are the ultimate creator in their mind. And I can kind of understand that because I'm a writer, I'm a producer, and I love creating TV shows. And when I was writing my book, I would write some days I'd start at 5 a.m. and by 5 p.m. I'm still writing and the day just feels like a blur. Like it felt like 5 minutes, but it was 12 hours I've been writing. But I enjoy creating things and getting it out into the world. And when my book was published and I'm doing the press tour and everyone's interviewing me, like I enjoy that. So I get it. I get the sense that con artists get where you're creating something and people are reacting. I like that too. But I'm not lying and cheating people. Like
Yes.
I'm talking about real things here where as a con artist, they just love they're like directing a movie, but no one knows. And we're all unwitting actors. And they when we sit when we say what they want us to say and do what they plan for us to do, that's the ultimate thrill for them.
Or-
That's why they do it. Because a lot of cons I've investigated, even with my own con artist, I found other victims she conned, she didn't con them for money. She just conned them for fun. I'll give you an example I read about in my book. Um, I live in Los Angeles. So one of her cons, not with me, but with another victim I found during my investigation after police turned me away. One of the victims was a TV producer, another TV producer. You can swing a dead cat in Los Angeles and hit 100 TV producers. So one is another TV producer, and Mayor, my con artist, Mayor Smith, that was the name she gave me. She convinced this producer named Tess that she's best friends with Jennifer Aniston.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
if you're listening to this in Houston, you're thinking, "Oh, who's going to believe that?"
No, but I
But
guess in LA, it's
in
totally
LA, yeah,
different.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I know. Renee Zellweger, for
Yeah.
instance,
Yeah.
like it's not so far fetched. Like so to back up this con, my con artist used the red flag I read about in my book. I call it the red flag of technology, a reliance on technology, digital screens to sell her story. So
Mm.
she created, unbeknownst to Tess, the victim, she created a Google texting account. and texted herself as Jennifer Aniston. So every time texts would pop up on her phone, and this is what we have to be suspicious of, how many times has someone held up their phone and said, look what so and so just texted me?
Oh, wow.
Did
Yeah.
you ever think they created a whole account for so and so to
Yes.
sell you a story? That's what Mayor was doing. So Hess knew that Mayor was best friends with Jennifer Aniston. That was a thing, like established over weeks and months. So lo and behold, 2015, the Golden Globes roll around, and Mayor tells Tess, "Hey, Jennifer Aniston, my best friend, is letting me bring someone to the Golden Globes with her. Do you want to come with me to the Golden Globes?" And Tess is like, "Oh my God, it's a producer's dream to go to
Yes.
the Golden Globes." Absolutely. So Tess is excited. She gets a dress. She gets hair and makeup. Like, she's so thrilled. Meanwhile, I'm just imagining my con artist is watching her thinking, look at what I've got this woman to do. I made her get a dress. She got a makeup artist. She's getting ready. It's working. And sure enough, the morning of, Mayor texts Tess, "Hey, Jennifer Aniston, she's going through some hard times right now with her, soon-to-be ex-husband, and she just wants to be alone. So she doesn't want an entourage. I'm sorry, I have to renege the invitation."
Oh my
And
God.
Tess accepted it, but Tess asked me when I interviewed her for the book, what was the point of that? Why did she do? She didn't get any money from me. Why did she do that? And I told Tess it's because she got joy from it. Those weeks of you thinking she was best friends with Jennifer Aniston, those weeks of you being excited about the Golden Globes and getting a dress, she got you to act. She enjoyed it. It's a scenario she created that you believed, and that was the thrill for her. That's the primary thrill for all of them, creating things and watching people react. The money is secondary. Yes, there's money involved, but it's not the most important. The most important thing for a con artist is the con.
If today's conversation has you thinking differently about online scams, we've created resources to help. Visit our website and head to the Resource Center under Community, then click on Cyber Safety or Financial Crimes Prevention Tools. You'll find practical guidance on recognizing red flags, protecting your information if something feels off. Awareness is your first layer of protection, and we're here to help you stay informed and empowered. Visit us at crime-stoppers.org. That's crime-stoppers.org.
So, Johnathan, how did you find out that Mare, I believe you said her name was Mare, she told you her name was Mare. How did you find out that she wasn't who you thought she was? Like, what was that like for you? And then I'm very curious what the law enforcement angle was after that. So let's just sort of break
Yeah.
that into two parts.
So her legal name is Marianne Elizabeth Andel. The name she gave me was Mare Smith. I would go on to find 23 other aliases. She created a different alias for every town she scammed in. So it's like that famous expression in Texas, lies are like rats. When you find one, it means there are 1,000 others hiding. So I caught her in the first lie, and that led me to finding 1,000 other lies, and that led me to confronting her. Long story short, and I want to punch myself in the face when I say this out loud, I was helping an Irish heiress get her inheritance. That was my con. At the time, and this goes under the headline, con artists don't outsmart you, they outfeel you. I'd come out as gay 8 years prior to meeting my con artist, and my family disowned me, right? I wasn't welcome home anymore for Christmas. I made a life in Los Angeles with my husband, a happy life, but still, I was raw from that, getting disowned, stay away from me, yada, yada, yada. So as soon as my con artist, this is when we were just getting to know each other, as soon as she found out that detail of my life, she crafted the perfect con just for me. She said her family disowned her too. They're trying to get her disinherited. She comes from this Irish lineage, the founders of Ireland. She had a framed copy of the Irish Constitution on her wall, and she'd point to the bottom and say, "That's signatory. That's my great great grandfather." She told others it was her great great uncle. Like, she was Irish royalty. She portrayed herself as, and she seemed like she had a lot of money. And again, she would show me emails and texts from her cousins, Fintan and Dermot and Tristan, her Irish cousins in Ireland. Like, I'm reading all these texts. Like, I think these are real people. I had no idea. These are just figments she created, with her big plan to scam me. So long story short, she makes up a situation where the family's trying to get her disinherited. She's got $7 million of a $25 million estate coming to her. And she, there's a clause in the will that if any heir is convicted of a felony, they forfeit their inheritance. And right before she's supposed to get the money, she gets arrested,
Oh
like
no.
legit arrested. She goes to jail. Yeah. So I immediately know as a fact, oh, that's the family, the wealthy family paying off some dirty DA, setting her up to get her inheritance. You and I both have read those stories about husbands who knock their wives off for $1 million insurance policies. Happens all the time. So in my mind, this is what's happening, right? And but it wasn't. It was all a con. She actually got arrested for stealing from the travel agency she was working for. She stole $200,000. So she conned me to pay restitution in that case. And I believed I was hiring lawyers and helping her battle her family and helping her get her inheritance. Even though I'm a gay man, thankfully, happily married gay man, a woman in distress, a damsel in distress, I am a sucker for. I moved
Mm.
heaven and earth to help her because by that point in our friendship, we would end phone calls with, I love you, I love you. Like she was like a sister to me. I loved her like a sister, like family, and she would take us on vacations with her. She bought gifts and wined and dined my husband and me at fancy restaurants. She had all this money. Come to find out, it's from other cons she was
Yeah.
running. So she invested heavily in the con with me, and it paid off. She got me. She got me. And once I realized it, I confronted her. I mean, this is a woman, and this is another thing I tell people, you can't believe tears.
Mm.
This is a woman who could cry at the drop of a hat. When her cousins froze her bank account, which wasn't true, I came over to pick her up for brunch, and she's doubled over crying. She's crying and tears. And I'm holding her and consoling her. Her tears are wetting my shirt. Those are real effing tears. Like
Oscar
this woman was, but
performance.
none of it was true. Her
Wow.
cousins they never existed. It was all a con. I mean, it worked great. It was powerful. I got sucked in.
So that time that she got arrested for the fraud at work, for the theft at the office, is that how you discovered? Is that the thing that made you realize that this is not who you think it is?
Yes and no. So she gets arrested, and I bail her out of jail. So at that point, I believe the cousins are setting her up to get her inheritance. They're
Yeah.
trying to get a felony on her record. So I know it's not real, right? I know I'm believing the con completely. And over the course of 2 years, I loan her money to live on. She says they froze her bank accounts. I start loaning her money to live on. She says the last ask was for $50,000 to pay a lawyer and a court fee so she can get this thing. It's a bogus case. The barristers in Ireland are trying to set her up, and she showed me emails from her Los Angeles attorney. I now know none of that was real. All those emails she faked and forged and impersonated a cast of characters to convince me. But in the end, I was helping her get her inheritance. Here's where she got busted. Um, After I helped her pay her court fees for 50,000, she tells me the judge in her case is angry at me and angry at her for using my credit card to pay her court fees. The judge calls it money laundering. Now, at the time, I didn't know anything about the criminal justice system. Now I could have a freaking law degree. I know so much. But at
Yeah.
the time, I hadn't been to court in 20 something years. And when I was in court, it was for a traffic ticket in college. Like, I
Yeah.
don't, I'm a TV producer here in LA working 60-hour weeks. I don't know the criminal. Okay, money laundering? Is that okay? I guess you use my credit. I guess it's okay. So the judge is punishing her, she says, with a slap on the wrist, 30 days in jail. And when she gets out, it's not a felony, it's a slap on the wrist. She'll get her inheritance, blah, blah. So she goes to jail for 30 days. She calls me collect from jail every day, crying. Like, this is so horrible. I can't wait to be out. And I tell her like a week or two in, I'm like, I'm coming to visit you. And she's like, no, 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 I can't let you see me like this. No, no, no. But this is like my sister. Of course
Yeah.
I'm going to visit her in jail. Now, I've never visited anyone in jail. So I didn't know the process. The process is in LA County, you got to log into the LA County Sheriff's website. You got to find the inmate you want to visit. Then you got to create a profile. I got to upload my ID. It's like a Facebook profile for jail. I got to prove to them I'm a real person. So I do all of that. And then I click the inmate I want to visit. I click her name, and up pops up her information,
Yes.
the crime she's convicted of. It's
Yes.
not money laundering. It says grand theft. So I freak out. I'm like, oh my God, this must be a mistake. She told me she was in for money laundering for this court thing with my credit cards, so they let her charge, but it says grand theft. So I at the time I'm producing a show called Booze Traveler for the Travel Channel. I remember as clear as day. And I just dropped what I was doing at work. I sped down to the courthouse, and I had a case number on that jailhouse thing, and I asked the bailiff, I'm like, how do I get records for this case right here? And he's like, oh, you got to go to the criminal clerk. I go to the criminal clerk. I pay like a couple $100s to get hundreds of pages of court records from this case. And I sit in the corner of the courthouse, hands trembling, just sifting through these court records, finding lie after lie after lie, like this whole case. So, long story short, she stole $200,000 from the travel agency she worked at, and she used the money she scammed from me to pay partial restitution in that case.
Wow.
And when the judge saw that she paid that much amount in partial restitution, he went easy on her. She could have got a 5-year sentence, but she got a 30-day sentence because she made the case convincingly she conned the judge into believing she was going to pay the money back because she'd already paid back a sizable chunk, which she scammed from me. So she literally robbing Peter to pay Paul. I don't know which one of those guys I am, but I'm one of them. She's scamming me to pay restitution, and that's why she was only in jail for 30 days. So when she gets out, I confront her, I record it. She denies it. I'm recording it because I think when I go to police, this will get her. This is evidence. I went to police. They could not care less. If you hired them and paid them $100,000 a year to care less, they couldn't care less. He told me it's not a crime. He told me you gave her the money, it's not a crime, and sent me on my way. And that would have been the end of the story. But I, at that point, was like a dog with a bone. I didn't believe it wasn't a crime. And I went back and badgered him and got him to take a police report. And then I started my own investigation. I started a website, JonathanWalton.com, and I put all the story of how she conned me on there, warning people. And as the weeks turned into months, other victims started contacting me. Hey, she conned me. She said she was a lawyer. Hey, she conned me. I thought she was a hockey coach. Hey, she conned me. She was my psychologist. She was working as a psychologist in LA. She had like a dozen patients, and she would use the intimate details of their lives to scam them. Like she had so many cons going on.
Yeah, that's insane. And so law enforcement basically, I mean, we know in major cities like LA and New York and Houston and others, law enforcement stretched thin, and they're dealing, with murderers and rapists and blah, blah, blah. And so these financial crimes, they'll say, there's really no victim here, but there is a victim. You were
absolutely.
And so
I had to file for bankruptcy. I went bankrupt. I was a victim.
Gosh.
It was a dark, dark, dark time. And I'm grateful now it happened because I learned a lot about the system. And in the last 2 chapters of my book, Anatomy of a Con Artist, I write how to rig the system so it helps you. I learned the hard way that pitching a criminal case to police is like pitching a television show to a network executive. You have to make it sexy. You can't just go in, boo-hoo, I got conned, help me. They're going to send you on your way and tell you it's a civil matter, it's not a crime, good luck. You have to go in prepared. And I walked through people in the last 2 chapters of my book, Anatomy of a Con Artist. I walked people through how exactly I did that. You got to have evidence. You got to get sworn witness statements and affidavits. You got to write up a timeline. You got to be prepared. When you walk into that police station to report what happened, they immediately have to know that you know your stuff. Here's the crime. Here's the beginning, middle, and end. You have to have a log line. I got scammed by a professional con woman out of $100,000 over the course of 4 years. While she was scamming me, I found dozens of other victims she was scamming. You have to build a case for them and get them interested. It's like a TV show or a movie. You got to suck them in. You can't just cry. There's no place for crying at a police station. They're going to ignore you. You think it's powerful, but it's not. They're, like you said earlier, they're dealing with robberies and murders and people who are really dying. So you crying because you got con doesn't even register. I learned how to do all of that. And I got them eventually to take my case seriously. And I got them eventually to file charges. And I had a trial and I got her convicted. And then, lo and behold, during my investigation, I uncovered a bunch of victims in Northern Ireland. Wow. So I got Northern Ireland police involved. And then I got her extradited. I got her extradited in 2024. And I went over there for the trial. It was this past September, 2025. And she was convicted. And the New York Times did a whole profile about me. So it's like, it turned into this whole thing just because I would not give up.
Yes. Well, that's, we always say, obviously our organization deals with victims every day. And we always say we hate that circumstances have brought you to this place. Absolutely. And nobody deserves to be victimized. And it's never, you were never a willing participant. One of our director of victim advocacy, Andy Kahn, always says, no victim is saying, pick me, I want to be involved in this. But there are certain victims who literally change the landscape because of who they are. And the fact that they have been victimized, they change the future for everybody, whether that's legislation or, in like your case, the research you've done, the investigative piece you've done, the roadmap you've given everybody else in your book, Anatomy of a Con Artist, the 14 Red Flags to Spot Scammers, Grifters, and Thieves. Such a great title. You're giving
Thank you.
everybody this roadmap. Let me ask you a question. So for people like me, and you said it best, there are scammers everywhere. If you
Yep.
had to sort of boil it down to three red flags for like the elderly who are on Facebook all day or getting these texts, for people like me in the prime of our lives, or for our kids who walk around now, not like when I was a kid in the 80s. Our children walk around with like access to our credit cards on their phone, or they have their own sort of profile. And we know that they can be victims of identity theft because nobody's doing a check on their credit score until they're maybe applying for something down the line. I mean, what would be the top three red flags you have?
I would say red flag number one, and this is how they appear in the book because this is how they appear in real life. Red flag number one is they enter your life offering to help
Okay.
because that can get them in there quick. That can make you like and love them quickly. These are helpers. Who doesn't love a helper? We all do. Red flag number two, and this is how they get you after they offer to help, they are too kind too quick. They wine and dine you. They take you on vacations. They walk your dog. They buy you gifts. They take you out to dinner. Like they're helping you and they're so kind. And God, I love this person. That's their plan. And the other red flag that's common in all of these cons in real life is I call it the red flag of stories from faraway places.
Oh, this
They
was
have a
in,
lot of stories from
yeah,
faraway places
things you can't
because
vet, you were saying. Basically, you can't
right,
really
you
vet.
can't verify.
Yeah.
Right. My con artist told people she was on the Olympic ice skating team in Maine back in 1983. So I can't verify that. And human nature being what it is, and these are experts at engineering our own human nature against us. You think, well, if you can't prove it's false, you just accept it as true.
Yeah.
And that's how they. So if you got this new person in your life and they're offering to help and they're too kind, too quick, and they're filling out their whole background with stories from faraway places, things that happened 20 years ago in Australia, across the world, be suspicious. That's weird. That's not normal.
And we tell kids, especially digitally, you may not meet them, they may not be able to wine and dine you, but they're very attentive online. They're always
Oh
that
yeah,
listening.
they can absolutely. And I've dealt. One of the cases I write about in my book is this airline executive, this woman who lost $850,000 to a
Wow.
con man she met online and never met in person.
Yeah.
She fell in love with him, and love is the most powerful force there is in the universe. People will kill for love or die for love, and people will give 850,000 for love. So every time they were about to meet, an emergency would come up. He was an oil and gas man, and there was a tanker fire. There was an oil rig fire. He's in the Indian Ocean. One brilliant technique he used on her, and this she spoke to him on video chat a few times, so he was real, right?
Wow.
And he had usurped pictures of someone else who looked similar to him and created LinkedIn profiles and websites for his oil company. Like this woman was not a dummy. She's super
Yeah.
smart. She's the head of an airline. Can't tell you which one, but
Yeah.
yeah, I helped her, and now she's closer to getting justice. There have been some arrests. This was a team of scammers who were doing this to a ton of women. They had actors. So one of the most brilliant things he did, to get the money from her is early on, he used the red flag of technology. He created a whole Bank of America type website that was his. He said it was his bank. He calls her an emergency from the Indian Ocean. He needs to transfer $6 million to buy an oil drill. He asks her, "Can you log into my bank account for me
Oh,
and
wow.
transfer the money?"
Wow.
So he trusts her. And this is another red flag I write about, the red flag of TMI, too much information. They divulge too much about themselves to get you to do the same and trust them. So he trusts her to log in. When have you ever let anyone log into your bank account? Never,
Yes.
never. So she thinks, oh, this gazillionaire has trusted me to log into his bank and pay off this fee. But that was all a ruse. That bank account wasn't real. It was a website he created to look like a bank account. So she did it, and that bonded them very close because she thought, wow, he trusts. When she logged in, she saw $90 million in the account. So
Yeah.
she thought, wow, he really trusts me with this money. Oh, it is a crazy chapter I write about. And
John,
it's happening every day, these kinds of cons, every day.
now I am very curious. Is there, I mean, I don't know many people like you who have the background you have, and I think producers are investigators and they're writers and they're researchers. I mean, it's sort of organic to what a producer is. I mean, is there a place where people can submit like, hey, this is a scenario. I think I'm being conned. Johnathan, what do you think? I mean, do you?
Absolutely. And I get hit up every day. Yeah, my website has my contact and a form to fill out, jonathanwalton.com. Yeah, I get hit up every day. And my hope, my goal, my dream, my plan is to sell a big splashy television show
I
called The
was,
Con
of
Hunter,
course.
where we
Are you
investigate
kidding?
every case, we help a victim, and we confront the con artist in the end. That's
Johnathan,
my
the
goal.
whole
That's what I'm
time
working
you're
towards.
talking, I'm like, when the whole time I'm sitting here thinking, when is this turning into a TV show? I mean, obviously that's going to happen. It has to happen.
I hope so. I'm trying. I'm trying like the Dickens, let me tell you. And who better than me, right?
Well, Texas, they're putting a lot of money into production down here, as you know. So maybe you need to
Yeah,
come.
and I do know Renee Zellweger. Yeah, yeah, she's a huge pro Texas. Absolutely. I mean, that's the plan, because I want to do some good in the world, and more importantly, I want to show people what this looks like because people don't know until it happens, and they're sifting through the wreckage of the con, like, oh, they did this, and I didn't know that was a thing, and they did this, and I didn't know that was a thing, and one of the most heartfelt, profound things that happened. So my book came out in September, and it's been selling. It's in every bookstore. I did an audio version on Audible, and I got the most amazing review on Amazon. And this woman writes, and I'm paraphrasing from memory. She says, "Thank you. I started reading this book just because it interested me, and I realized the guy that I'm dating is a con artist, and
Wow.
he had waived. He was at 10 of the 14 red flags you write about, and he needed money, and there was an emergency, just like you said, and I was about to give it to him. But
Wow.
reading your book, I didn't. I cut ties. I realized what he was doing. I found him in a bunch of lies, and I cut ties. Thank you." Like that filled me like, yes, that's my plan. If I
Yes.
can stop these effing people from conning in their tracks, if I can help victims wise up. And I also, I do speaking engagements now where I speak at companies and retirement homes. I got a retirement home next week. And I lay out what these 14 red flags look like. Because until somebody points them out, you just think, oh, this person is so kind. Oh, they want to help me. Oh, wow, they're in the Olympic team in France. That's a lot of stories from faraway places. Oh, there's an emergency. I have to act. There's scarcity. Like until I point them out, you just think it's just someone's nature.
Yes. Johnathan, what you're doing is so important, especially now. I think we see it a lot where the world is progressing quickly and sometimes law enforcement is they're always doing the best they can with limited resources. The technology is moving fast, connections are moving fast, people are getting creative. Like you said, people can sit at home and create an entire website, fake text chains. They can do anything that they possibly want,
Yeah.
and they have every tool available to them to scam someone else. So the fact that you are turning the lights on, like I always say this, and sharing the red flags, sounding the alarms, you're moving the whole community to one sort of leader, one message saying, look, this happened to me and I need help, or this happened to me and I want to make sure it doesn't happen to you. I love the fact that you are doing this. It's such a needed space. I am manifesting this for you. I can't wait to
Thank
see
you.
the show. And because I also know that a lot of Hollywood celebrities, people out of LA are looking to like trademark through AI, like their name, their likeness, their voice, because those things are being used to scam others as well. And
Yeah.
so just a lot of interest in what you're doing. And I can see the worlds overlapping pretty quickly. If we can help in any way, we're always here to do so. We encourage
Oh,
people to
thank you.
get your book, Anatomy of a Con Artist, the 14 Red Flags to Spot Scammers, Grifters, and Thieves, to go to jonathanwaltonmedia.com and to reach out to you because I think a lot of people might have stories to share with you.
Yeah, I learn something every day. I mean, that's one of the reasons I want to do the show because I want a staff. I want a budget that I can address, because my vow when the show happens is even if we don't feature you on the show, we're going to help you.
Yeah.
I want to help everyone because I know being a victim, it's just such a lonely place. And when police turn you away, and I don't know why I was so different. Most people who get turned away by police would think, well, that's it, it's over. But no, it's not. You got to
Yeah.
push back. And I teach people how to push back.
Well, I go back to the Walsh abduction, Adam Walsh, and how America's Most Wanted came from that whole thing, and a whole new way of investigating crimes took place, and predators were found because of the tragedy that that family endured. And so
Yeah.
you never know what you're going to create here and what you're already on the path to create. We're so sorry it happened to you, because obviously not only did you lose 100,000 over four, but you spent 4 years, a lot of time. You developed a true love for this woman, thinking
Yeah.
of her as your sister. So it's heartbreak, it's emotional, and also such a thank you for turning it into a blessing. So that's a weird way to say it, but thank you for doing the work you're doing. And we're going to follow you along the way and encourage other people to go to Johnathan's website, JohnathanWaltonMedia.com. Jonathan, is there
JohnathanWalton.com.
JohnathanWalton.com? Okay, Jonathan
Well, I
Walton.
mean, if you Google Jonathan Walton Media, it would have come up anyway. So I'm not worried. Yeah.
That's
I'm
where
the
we
only
can hear
Jonathan
your
Walton.
podcasts, correct? That's where we can hear your podcast.
Yes. Yeah. Jonathan Walton Media. I've got a couple of different con podcasts out now. And I'm doing the Handyman of West Texas podcast right now. It's a
Okay.
crazy, crazy story. I'm going to be on the Rula and Eric show tomorrow, my handyman.
Oh, they're dear friends of ours.
Love them.
They're the
Love
best.
them.
They're dear friends of our program and organization. I love that you're going to be with them tomorrow morning.
I'm not. My handyman is. So there's this handyman in West Texas, right? He's an oil worker. He goes through a divorce. He was raised conservative Catholic, like very sheltered. He's living alone now, so he's got a 2 week on the oil rig, 1 week off work schedule. On his week off, he innocently puts up a handyman ad because he figures I want something to do with my week off. I'm bored in Midland, Texas, and a wealthy housewife propositions him and pays him for sex. And then she tells someone, and she tells someone, and before you know it, he is servicing all these wealthy housewives in Midland, Texas, while their rich executive husbands are at work in the oil business. It's this crazy dichotomy. And it's kind of a con because when you see his work truck parked in their driveway, you think, oh, he's a handyman. But he is way more than a handyman. I assure you, it's a crazy story.
Providing different services. Okay, we can't wait to
Yeah.
hear that on the Rula and Ryan show. And Jonathan, thank you for what you do. We'll stay in touch with you. We encourage everybody to go to JohnathanWalton.com. Thank you, Jonathan, and to everybody
Thank you
else.
for having me.
Of
Thank you so
course.
much. You're doing great work and helping me shine light on all this. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Everybody else will catch you next time. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Balanced Voice podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, we would love a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform, as this helps us reach more listeners with life-saving information. For bonus content, follow us on Instagram at The Balanced Voice Podcast or follow Renya at The Renya Report. Be sure to vote in our weekly polls on Spotify, and we look forward to seeing you next week for another balanced conversation.